Are you guys working on a debt prioritization program in case we get to the debt ceiling?
Yeah, you know, we're 6 months away approximately, and what I'd like to do is I'd like to sit down with all the leaders, especially with the president, and start having discussion. I think it's a sign of arrogance if you would say he wouldn't even discuss it. I mean, think about what the Democrats have done just in the 4 years. They've increased discretionary spending by 30%. When Republicans were in the majority for those 8 years, discretionary spending didn't go up $1. And we know where we're sitting at, almost $32 trillion in debt. How could you do this to a future generation that in anything we do, why wouldn't we sit down and talk, and especially with something as serious as debt, but as serious as a debt limit, why would you want to wait till the end? Here we are, we had Democrats in one party power. They increased spending from $4 trillion to $7 trillion. They added $10 trillion of debt in the next 10 years. They wouldn't even produce a budget. So any household, if they were misspending, the first thing they'd do is set a budget. Why wouldn't we request the House and Senate to do a budget? Appropriations, where we approve funding. They didn't even do that last year, the Senate. They let 2 senators write a $1.7 trillion omni bill that no one got to see and jammed it through in the middle of December. So you realize why we have a debt like we had in the past. Why wouldn't we sit down now, set a budget, set a path to get us to a balanced budget, and let's start paying this debt off and make sure the future generation has as many opportunities as we do.
Is a clean debt ceiling off the table?
Well, I don't see why you would continue the past behavior. I would think, for one standpoint, if you've just talked the question, is a clean debt ceiling? Well, would that mean we wouldn't do any approps bills and we just do an omni, that we wouldn't even do a budget? Yeah, that's totally off the table. We've got to change.
Just raising the debt ceiling without any conditions.
Well, no, I mean, well, I don't know if you have any children, but if you had a child and you gave them a credit card and they kept raising it and they hit the limit, so you just raised it again, clean increase, and again and again. Would you just keep doing that, or would you change the behavior? We're 6 months away. Why wouldn't we sit down now and change this behavior? That we would put ourselves on a more fiscally strong position. It would make the future generation, make our nation stronger, make the economics and stronger for this country. I think that's why we should sit down, and I would welcome. It's the first conversation I had with the president of winning speaker, the things I wanted to sit down and talk with him about. Who wants to put the nation in some type of threat at the last minute of debt ceiling? Nobody wants to do that. That's why we're asking, let's change our behavior now. Let's sit down. He's the president. We're the majority in the House. The Democrats are the majority in the Senate. And let's, exactly the way the founders designed Congress to work, find the compromise and find the common sense compromise that puts us back onto a balanced budget that I believe every household, every state does this, every city, every county. Why would the Democrats sit back and say, just raise it with no discussion? Nobody else can do that, and I don't think the American people want that.
Is the focus just on the discretionary side or mandatory as well, or everything on the table?
You've got to protect Medicare and Social Security, and the path that the Democrats are going, they're going to go bankrupt. So the thing I look at is, let's sit down and find a place that we can protect Medicare and Social Security for the future generations. Let's put our house in order in how we're going to spend, and let's make the investments we need to make America stronger.
Is leadership hearing you out on that?
Huh?
Is leadership hearing you out on that? Is he listening to these concerns?
I'm sorry, who's listening?
Is Chuck Schumer listening to these concerns?
You know, I don't know. The Senate hasn't been in session, so I haven't been able to meet with it. I haven't talked to him, no.
Before the election on Mayorkas, you said that he needs to resign or potentially face an impeachment inquiry. He's not resigning, so are you...
Well, what I said, now you understand what I said before. I said he needs to resign. If not, because we watched what happened on this border. And I want you all to pay attention from one aspect. Let's wait till we see what the December numbers come across, okay? If those December numbers are even higher and break a new record, should he stay at this job? He's been at this job for 2 years. We now have more Americans being killed by fentanyl than any time. It's the #1 killer of Americans between the ages of 18 and 45. What makes the productivity of America the greatest years there. It's the age that the people serve in the military to defend us, okay? Every single day, 300 people are dying that way. We've had more people come across our border than at any time in an illegal process with nothing being stopped. We have more people coming across the border that we're catching that are on the terrorist watch list, so putting us in a greater threat than at any time in our nation's history from that position of coming across a terrorist watch list. Should that person stay in their job? Well, I raise the issue they shouldn't. So the thing that we can do is we can investigate. And in that investigation could lead to an impeachment inquiry. I don't predetermine, because I'll never use impeachment for political purposes. But if the person is a derelict in their duties and they're harming Americans and Americans are actually dying by the lack of their work, that could rise to that occasion. So what I said was, when we take the majority, we will have that investigation. Why is this border so wide open? Why are so many Americans dying from fentanyl? Why are so many on a terrorist watch list think they can just walk across and harm this nation? Well, I want to know the answers to that. And if the answers is that this secretary is not doing his job, why would anybody want to keep him?
The White House is calling out Republicans as hypocrites in terms of the reaction from Biden's classified documents to Trump. What's your reaction to that statement, and also do you see a difference in the two investigations?
Look, I see from an aspect of how it's treated, and the one thing you always want is fair justice in America. So let's just put it on its premise that the past president, President Trump, had documents that his lawyers were talking with. The archives knew they were there. They actually asked to put another lock on it, so it was behind lock. At any time, they could have walked in and grabbed him. No, they had the FBI come and raid Mar-a-Lago. It was all public when it was taking place. They knew it was going. Now we have a current sitting president that had gone on 60 Minutes criticizing President Trump for what he's done. We had all the Democrats attacking. They even put a special counsel prosecutor to go after President Trump by this. Before the election, they found out President Biden had these documents, not under lock, a simple push of a button that could open a garage door that every American has and knows what happens how people get robbed, mainly by going through a garage door. It makes it quite easy. Prior to an election, they kept it secret. At no time did he get raided by the FBI. At no time did they come forward and say who was there could actually see these documents that are sitting in the garage behind a Corvette. Said this is all we had, but we find time and time again. They put a special prosecutor only after other people raise the issue. But are the same amount of agents investigating this that are investigating President Trump? Is the same push behind it? It just does not seem fair. This is why the American people get so upset and distrust their government when they see that the law is not applied equally. And why is somebody doing this? Are they going after somebody because they politically disagree with them? They feel they're a political opponent? That's what's wrong in this system. And this is why there's such hypocrisy behind the Bidens. Once again, something big that comes forward prior to an election where they kind of keep it quiet, where the American public could actually have a say in it.
Did you have concerns, though, that Trump actually had the classified documents at Mar-a-Lago? You're obviously concerned.
Oh, look, I have concerns when any classified documents are anywhere outside. Look, I deal as a gang of 8 inside a SCIF. I don't take documents out. A president's different to bring forward. But the one thing I will say here, too, is a president who just left office is not the individuals who's packing up their boxes, who's not moving them. So how much does he even know in that process and others? And did you have to have an FBI raid? At any time, the president would have lawyers provided it to them. But it's interesting in the raid of Mar-a-Lago, did they just go to where they knew the boxes already were? Or did they go through the former First Lady's clothes? Did they go through his son's area? What have they done? They haven't even gone into the garage. They let some attorney do it for Biden. So it's not a fair process when you equalize this out. And that is what is wrong with the system. And is it right that Garland should even be in charge of this? Look, the House, we have a constitutional responsibility to oversee the Justice Department. And that also means overseeing the special counsels. So we will look into both situations.
So both investigations?
Yes, yes, yes.
What do you think of the special counsel? Is he the right person for this job, or do you have concerns?
Look, I don't know enough. It's just interesting to me when they select someone, they always have ties to someone else. They have a very big department there. I would want to make sure anytime you're going to deal with a situation as serious as this, that you could have some fresh eyes and a non-biased. And I'm not saying someone's biased, but it's just interesting to me that it seems like they've worked on cases before that could be on one side or another, how it comes out. I don't know. I don't know any of that, but I would just hope whatever comes forward, you want the American public to trust the final answer. That's why the House will oversee and look at these investigations as well.